He never comes on here.
Eric's computer just drop out on him.
Yeah, we lost him.
Did we
He'll
lose
be
him?
back. Yeah.
All right. Let's
All
go.
right. Yeah, let him in. Okay. Here comes all the regulars. Oh, big number today. Wow.
And I
Welcome to Trash
accidentally kicked
Talk.
myself out.
Yeah, I saw that, but you're back. I thought maybe Zoom was doing one of its impromptu updates, which it does at the beginning of every important Zoom meeting.
No, it popped up this is being live streamed thing, and I had hit enter on the keyboard in another window, but Zoom got focus, hit that, and kicked me out.
Well, you're back, but your video's off, Eric. All right, everyone, welcome to Trash Talk Live, number 37. Why have I got so much feedback? That sounds better.
Please put yourself
All right.
if you're not talking. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, if possible, mute your microphones when when you're not talking, and also mute your cell phones if you've got them, and keep bad language to a minimum because we're live out onto the YouTube. So my name's Ian Maverick. I'm coming to you from Melbourne, Australia. It's Sunday morning here, bright and early and sunshiny. So we got 2 hours, up to 2 hours to talk about what we're doing in the TRS-80 world, a little bit of talk about Tandy assembly and other things as needed. So yeah, good to have you all here. Peter, my man, what have you been up to?
Hey guys, sorry I missed the last show. Still getting over the passing of my brother, so still grieving that. But time heals wounds, they say. So that's going on. But I'm glad you guys had the show last time without me, and it seems pretty well. What's going on? Well, we're getting ready for Tandy Assembly. The planning is already in the works. We're having a little bit of a reshuffle of the board at Tandy Assembly. So Mike Rowan is stepping down, and John Lindenville is going to be stepping up as president. And our own Eric Dittman has joined the group too. So we've got Eric Dittman and we got Mav here as well. Are both on the Tandy Assembly Planning Board. So it's going to be a quality event like it always is. But so if you have something you want to speak about, if you have an exhibit, if you have a presentation, something you're Tandy TRS-80 related, a project that you're working on, send your submissions in. Just go to tandyassembly.com and all the information is there to become a sponsor, to become a speaker, to become a tech track teacher. If you want to teach a class, the Friday we have 5 tech track classes. I'm sure Mav is going to take his usual slot there and impart his TRS-80 wisdom to everyone, but it's open to everyone. So if you have a topic, join. That's what the community is all about. Other than that, I'm getting prepared for VCF East. I see we've got Jeff Brace here, who kind of leads the VCF organization, and maybe he can tell us a little bit about it when his time is up and the planning that's going on there. But I'm going to be exhibiting my TRS-80 Model 2 boards collection that I had at Tandy Assembly last year. It was a really big hit. It's probably the only time you'll see probably almost every TRS-80 board that was ever made, TRS-80 Model 2 board, in existence all in one place. So it's about 30 boards that I have up on my displays. And a lot of people don't realize, how expandable that Model 2 line of computers were, but there were a lot of additional expansion capabilities and cards and memory options related to Xenix and Tristos and CPM. So that's why it's my favorite platform. But yeah, I'll be seeing, hopefully I'll be seeing some of you guys there at BCF East. Anybody here planning on attending? Okay, Boise is going to be there. Yep. So hopefully there'll be a few other TRS-80 exhibits, and maybe we can kind of get together and have a little mini Tandy assembly there, like they're doing down at the VCF Southwest.
It would
So
be good. What date is it on, Peter, for those who don't know?
Jeff, what's the dates of VCF East? You would know. offhand.
April 12th, 13th, and 14th.
There you
That's
go.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And where is it?
It'll be at InfoAge Science and History Museums, 2201 Marconi Road, Wall, New Jersey.
Wow. Okay. That's great. Yeah. So, like Peter was saying, Tandy Assembly's the biggest, and we're aiming to make it the best of the TRS-80 platformed shows out. So, any input or thoughts, we're all ears, and the more the merrier. So, even if your idea's daft, run it by us. We can, happy to canvas it, and we can probably turn it into something. But we've had 6 or 7 of these shows now, Peter.
We've had 6 so far.
Had 6 now, yeah. So and they're just getting better and better, especially the trivia game and the auction because of the
Yeah, of course.
awesome MC running it. That's me. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to go around randomly the viewers, and we'll just if you've got something that you want to talk about, good, or tell us what you've been doing, or if you haven't been doing nothing, that's fine as well. Just tell us, and I'll move on to the next one. But I try to make time to get around to everyone, and we've got a few new people here today. So I'm going to start with Tom Tom C. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing? Can you hear me fine?
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So my name is Tom Cherry Holmes. I am the principal firmware engineer for the FujiNet project. FujiNet, for those that don't know, is a project that aims to bring modern internet connectivity and all sorts of interesting, nifty features to machines that previously couldn't have it, 8-bit machines and low-spec 16-bit machines and the like. And the reason that I'm here amongst you guys today has to do with the fact that the latest bring up for the FujiNet has actually centered around the TRS-80 color computer. So FujiNet for the color computer has basically, we decided to standardize around the existing drive wire protocol implementation that Boise Pete had started up. And he's actually been very instrumental in helping me get bits and pieces and resources that I needed in order to get the project stood up in the first place. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, the FujiNet for the color computer is working quite well. We've remote disk works. So I think probably the biggest difference to existing DriveWire users here is that since the FujiNet is completely self-contained with its own ESP32 microcontroller and all the interface hardware that it needs to interface with the color computer, there's really no more need for a tether or a separate host program to provide the DriveWire services because those things are now provided entirely on the ESP32 microcontroller itself. So the first thing that you notice from that is that, well, now you can boot things either over from the internet or from local storage. Virtual printer also works too, so you can print to and from OS 9. That works just fine. But we've also added in a virtual network adapter, which does a whole bunch of protocol offloading for the whole variety of different protocols: TCP, UDP, HTTP, SSH, and so on, where all of the gory details of handling all the protocol arbitration is handled on the ESP32, and what's exposed to the color computer is a nice, clean I/O channel and interface. The plan now at this point, especially now that Chris Turst, we've had a volunteer come in, Chris Tersteeg, who has taken the working schematics that we had been using in the channel on breadboards. In fact, I still have my breadboard over here on my bench. And that's been turned into a workable board. And that board has now been posted up in the TRS-80 Color Computer Discord. and on the TRS-80 Facebook channel as well. So anybody who wants to be able to test this to help us get the bugs and stuff ironed out, you guys can help and build one of these and get it working. You can take and join our Discord in order for for us to help you get one running. It's still very early days. There's still a whole lot to do, but it's it's coming up very quickly and very rapidly.
FujiNet is pretty, it's a new concept to the TRS-80 community as a whole. I know it's been very popular in the Atari world and some other areas. So obviously someone's working on a Coco port of it. So maybe
Yes.
you need to start thinking about is the 80 TRS-80 port as well, huh?
Well, that's going to be, yeah, and we want to. The thing that will make that work well is the development of a generic parallel bus interface. And to that effect, we have no less than two different teams right now in the FujiNet Discord, which are working on two different approaches for applying an 8-bit parallel bus interface to a FujiNet. The first is being done entirely with just basic TTL logic, and that's being done by the ZX Spectrum people. They've been carefully, systematically simulating all the bits and pieces and circuits to make all of that work, and they've got it mostly working. They pulled it off of the breadboard, and now they're putting it onto PCBs to start doing the next phase of testing there. While that's also happening, we have another set of people that are experimenting with using a Raspberry Pico, an RP2040, and its PIO macro block as the bus glue between the computer and the ESP32 as well. So between those two solutions, we will converge on a solution that will allow us to basically move FujiNet to anything with a card edge.
Mhm.
Okay, that's cool. Just a heads up. I'm sure you already know this, but practically all Z80 monochrome TRS-80s have a parallel printer port on them. If that could be used.
That's true as well.
The only thing that excludes is Model 1s without the expansion interface, but most people who are hardcore TRS-80 Model 1 enthusiasts are running it with the expansion interface. So that could be a common connecting point for all of those.
That's
And
that's a potential vector, and I will say that yes, we will definitely explore that as a potential way to get it onto the Z80 TRS-80s. One of the major philosophies of the FujiNet project itself is that anything that we create should be completely should be self-sustaining in and of itself. A user should be able to take and plug it into their existing system as easy as humanly possible with as few external peripherals as needed as possible in order to make it work. So, like I said, we will investigate all possible connection avenues and pick the one that reaches the most number of people with the most usefulness.
that sounds fantastic. Yeah, I make a small number of interfaces and products for TRS-80s. People know me for, and I tend to lean towards the ones which require the least amount of modification to the computer. Ones that can be just plugged in and used are
Yes.
my favorite ones, because I can't speak for the skill level of modifying computers of the end users. So
Yes.
yeah. Just
All
another question, a noob question. Where did the name FujiNet come from?
Well, basically, when this project was first started, it started off on the Atari 8-bit computers, and it was originally called Atari Wi-Fi. But Jason Scott, you may know him as Text Files on Twitter, kind of took me over to the side and he whispered in my ear and he said, "Listen, Atari's been a little lawsuit happy of late. You might want to change your name." Okay, so we kind of shopped it around, and ultimately it was Kay Savitz of the Antic podcast and a few other things who ultimately came up with the name. And the name comes from the fact that if you look, the Atari logo has been described
Um,
as a sort of stylized Fuji. And we just kind of took that. It was generic enough. Of course, we never knew that FujiNet actually hits another company name that's a sort of East Asian financial trading block, but I think that's sufficiently far apart from what we're doing that there's no real collision there.
Okay. Well, I always wondered that. That's what I'm glad you could explain that to us. I mean, for years, I've used Fujifilm products from Japan.
Mhm.
Even my daily camera I use for eBaying is a Fuji FinePix digital camera, and they made very high quality 5 1/4 floppy disks if
Mhm.
you can find them. And it's taken me years to kind of to make the disconnect from that company to what you guys are doing. And so now I sort of get it. Okay, it's not got anything to do with the Fuji company
No,
of media systems and cameras and stuff in Japan.
no.
All right, cool.
Tom, what is the cost of a typical hardware interface for GNet? What would the user expect to pay?
Okay, so when we started, we were different. Okay, I'll answer this question in a couple of different ways. Um, we don't explicitly sell them ourselves. What we do is we work with different vendors in the respective communities to take and make designs available to the individual communities. And when we first started doing that, we had targeted an approximate, 55 to $60 price range. Now, as many of you who are doing hardware know, that we've been hit by devastating waves of chip shortages, component shortages, which have driven the price of components up considerably. So now we're looking at typical prices for FujiNets ranging from $75 to $85. We always the goal here is for any solution that we come up with to try and keep it down so that the sale price is less than $100 in any case. I feel that's a magic price point.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, keep us up to date with that stuff. I was just wondering if you'd consider bringing along a sort of a working example to Tandy Assembly in September. I don't know what state you're in, but some of us travel a long way to Tandy Assembly.
Well, yeah, I can see that. I'm actually in Dallas, Texas. So I'm like I'm next door to Fort Worth. So, Tandy
Okay.
was always
Yeah.
a big part of my culture and my life. But
Yeah.
um, matter of fact, my grandmother and my family come from Texas ranching and oil family, and my grandfather and my grandmother were friends with the Tandys and seen them more than a couple of times for dinner. So yeah.
Yeah, at a minimum, you could attend the VCF Southwest. I'm sure you probably
I do have, yes, I will be attending.
Yep.
That's due to interesting circumstances right now. Okay, so my schedule right now at the moment consists of immediately going to VCF SoCal, which is going to be in a few weeks. That's in Orange County, in Orange, California, and then I have to go turn around and go to VCF East. That's New Jersey. And then there's VCF Southwest. And that's assuming that somebody at VCF West doesn't pull me in and asks me to do a talk and a class and a few other things as well. So we shall see. I've been to VCF Midwest before, and it's rather interesting, and I want to go to all of them. The issue that I have more often than not is getting together the requisite travel expenses.
but definitely
Yeah. That
connect with me at VCF East because one of my passions on the TRS-80 is doing network programs. Like I wrote a Dropbox client, a Wikipedia client, things like that, and I think I could leverage FujiNet for that. So
One of the things that you'll notice, and since you're bringing that up explicitly, I want to mention something very specific. The thing about FujiNet's entire programming model, you can think of FujiNet literally like if anybody's ever done any big iron programming on mainframes with I/O processors and abstracted things. it's much the same thing where you basically have this massively powerful microcontroller that ironically is much more powerful than the computer it's connected to, that's able to do all of these different things. So more often than not, what you're doing is sending off commands to open a channel, read in some information, parse some JSON, parse some XML, send it back through, and then you can deal with it as you need to. And because we've got that big microcontroller, the programming model is very easy. And we try in each instance to take and match the programming model to what the underlying computer is. For the TRS-80 color computer, you have the lowest level, which are drive wire functions that you can call from, say, HDB DOS, for example, or OS9. But we also want to take and provide basic extensions so you can take and write so that you can do FujiNet things in BASIC like we've done for the Atari, for the Apple II, for the Coleco Atom, and so on. We try to integrate as much into the target operating system as we possibly can.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us this time. And maybe if you can come back at a future one when you've got an update on how it's going and everything. And yeah, it sounds to me like the get together in at VCF Southwest in Dallas, or in Texas, I should say,
Yes.
is a natural for you. So I hope it's a big success for you there.
Yep, and like I said, I will be at Southwest, I will be at East, and yeah, Southwest, East, and VCF, and the brand new VCF SoCal. So
Yeah. I'd love to go to a few of these things. In fact, if I had my way in life, that's all I would do is go to computer
yes,
shows around the world. But the means to get to them all adds up quickly for me. So
yes, as
yeah,
it
You're on that,
does for me
you're on
too.
that big island in the Pacific, you know?
yeah, I know.
I know.
We're sunny outside at the moment. Um, okay, who else is new? Let's talk to Jeff Brace. Hey, buddy, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jeff.
Hello. Hey, Thomas. I invited Thomas to this meeting because I thought, it would be a good idea to, show off his new FujiNet for the Coco. So I'm the showrunner for VCF East. I've been the showrunner for the past 4 years now, since the previous showrunner resigned. And the first thing I did was expand the number of speakers. Instead of having just one keynote per day, I had many speakers per day. So that's worked out well. In fact, it's too well so that, it's very hard to get everybody in one day. So, and but this year I made sure to have a break for the AV guys, at least for an hour during lunchtime, because they need the break. So it's been very successful. And last year it was triple the normal number of people. There's been a lot of increased interest, especially consignments, consignment area. People love to buy and sell. It was too crowded last year. We do what we can with the space that we have available to us. But so we have a new spot for consignment. It's double the size. So a lot of people be more happy. It's in a separate building. So we'll have the cafeteria will be used for actual food and eating instead of consignments. So it's going to be a lot better. So we have improvement in that area. So far, we have 18 exhibits registered, and that's about 39 tables. So I have a new exhibit manager, so I'm trying to get him up to speed so I can pass that off to him. He should be starting to do the layout soon. We have 6 vendors with 12 tables. So there's about 51 tables total, 19 tables left. We only have one TRS-80 in the group for the exhibits, but they're all on the website if you wanted to look at what's there. The theme for the show this year is the rise of the GUI in honor of the original Macintosh from 1984. So it's the anniversary. So it didn't invent the GUI, but it brought to light, Steve Jobs brought to light to the general public the GUI. Xerox had used the ideas from from the the mother of all demos, and then Macintosh, they brought it to the forefront. So GUIs were starting to become more popular in the command line, not as much. So I have 12 speakers so far. We still have a room for a little bit more, but it's getting really tight. I am trying to firm that up. We have Guy Federkow of Whirlwind, Carl Claunch, talking about restoration of computers. So he restored the system source of IBM 1130, and he's going to restore VCFs. And we have some other ones. Fred Carl's going to be talking about the invention of the transistor at Camp Evans. Camp Evans actually, which is part of, InfoWage is at the site where Camp Evans used to be. So formerly Camp Evans, they actually had a role in the invention of the transistor. So he's going to talk about that. Tom's Terry Holmes is going to talk about how games were developed back in the day. So years ago, these machines, like, it was not so easy as nowadays. We have, modern cross, development platforms you can do it on a PC, and then you can put out the source code and then run it on an emulator or something like that, or even on the original machine. But back then it was a lot more difficult. We have Bart van den Ecker. He's coming from the Netherlands. He has a home computer museum in the Netherlands that's really successful. It's very interesting how he keeps it going because he finances it through actual repairs to computers. But it's a really great museum. I hope to someday go there and visit. We have a number of others. Thomas Chandler Holmes is also going to give Fuji updates. And we have a few roundtables that we're going to do. Jerry Ellsworth I'm trying to get some speakers for her. I'm trying to track down a few. And Sean Malseed of Action Retro, he's does a YouTube channel. He's going to be moderating another one, a different one. And Fred Carl's going to be doing a roundtable about the Apollo guidance computer with Curious Mark, Carl Claunch, and some others. I'm just trying to firm that up. But so far, it's like really moving along. Less than 3 months to go, so things are ramping up. We do have hotel blocks this year. That was the first time we've had that. A lot of people like that because it gives them a discount, and all the hotels that I worked with are really helpful about that. So if you want to get a cheap hotel room, look at the hotel blocks on the website. And we're still going to have Glitchworks. Glitchworks, he sells kits, and you can put them together in the makerspace that they have there. And we're going to have the usual merchandise that we're going to sell for ourselves. That's how, we do the fundraising. Different kind of badge this year. And I'm always looking for volunteers. So that's in a nutshell. A lot going on, getting ready for it.
Amazing. Wish I could be there. Funny thing is, I'm visiting Canada. I'm arriving on the April the 15th, so I'm gonna just miss your show. But since all my flights and everything are locked in, it's so tempting to spend a weekend in New Jersey with you guys and then head up to Canada. But maybe next year.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it.
Yeah, next year, I tried to do it a week after Easter. This year, I had to move it because of the solar eclipse. Apparently, a lot of people want to go see this solar eclipse in the US. I don't know if Australia has it this year, but this is our second one in 6 years. We had one in 2018, and then we're having another one. So a lot of people going to that. So I shifted the show. So in 2025, it's going to be a week after Easter. I try to do that because I have a week off because working in a school system.
Yeah, since we're not stargazers, I'll tell you, eclipses are a big thing. Yeah, I thought it might be nice to be in Niagara Falls since the eclipse travels straight over the top of it this year, but I left it too late and realized that if you wanted to book a hotel and flights to be there for it, you had to kind of book a year or more in advance. You couldn't leave it till the last minute, and if you got at the last minute, a hotel room, which was normally about $300 a night, is over $1,000 a night. and because people will pay it. So the last eclipse I've seen properly was here in Australia in 1976. So it's been a while since we've had one
Yes.
overhead.
It's the next one is in about 30 years, so that's why people are doing it. And it took a lot of places by surprise in 2018 because where we had stayed as a family trip with my cousins and everything, they're like, "Oh, there's a solar eclipse. We should have tripled the rate." So now people know it was coming. All the hotels and everybody tripled their rates. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what happens. So
Yeah,
Mm.
I want to give a shout out to Jeff and the whole VCF group. I mean, if you haven't been to a VCF, try to get there, even if it's a big travel for you. To me, it's like the gold standard of vintage computer shows. And you guys do so much work. So many people show up, all the different events and the consignment and the food and everything you have to set up. Man, just kudos to you. Great work you guys do. So thank you.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Plus,
Yep.
I mean,
Sounds.
plus it's like it's on a military base, so a former
Yeah.
military base. So there's all sorts of interesting little things just laying around. Oh, look, a tank. Oh, look,
It's bloke's world. Yeah, well, my thoughts have always been that Tandy Assembly is a good size. But it could potentially, to my mind, grow to 50% larger than it is without impacting on the show. And so any training for Tandy Assembly guys there, Jeff, on a way to make the thing, a bit bigger. We always sell out all the tables, all the rooms at the hotel sell out and everything. But I reckon we could get more people, and I'd like to see the attendance at Tandy Assembly sort of up over between 200 and 250 people. I reckon it could be a good thing to aim for.
Yeah, definitely want to talk to you about that. In fact, there was another guy who had approached me about doing a VCF in Ohio there, and I believe you guys were not too far from there, right? Where do you do it in Ohio?
Springfield.
So he wanted to start a VCF there, but so maybe there could be some coordination because he used to run a large conference thing, but it was about 20 years ago and it has since stopped. So perhaps that plus other things I can definitely help you with. Maybe build it up.
Yeah, put your people in touch with our people. The thing I like about where we are at Ohio is that although it has a largish function room or rooms available to us, they also have a next door to it a supermassive museum with enormous room there that could be negotiated. I don't know how well it could be negotiated, but it would certainly allow for sort of a VCF and a Tandy assembly to run on the same weekend. So people
Yeah,
come
that'd be
along
killer.
and get two shows for the one price or something. But well, and talk to Peter and the
Yeah.
press about that when you get a chance.
So that there is precedent for that because early on, VCF Midwest combined with the Commodore Group ECCC, so they've been combined for a number of years. So there's precedent, so where you can have like a VCF and also the Tandy assembly in one space. So that I mean, my gut says to expand it to other things, but still have the Tandy assembly intact because even at VCF Midwest, there's a huge Commodore groups and they put it in one area. So anyway, we'll talk more later about that.
Yep, cool. Thanks for joining us, Jeff. Good to see you here. New people. Let's see. Jeff, Jay Crudy. Hey, buddy, you're up
All right. Can y'all hear me okay?
perfectly.
Cool. Well, for those who don't know, I kind of have two claims to fame at the moment. One of them is the replacement keyboard project for the Model 3 and Model 4 that I've been working on. Can give you some updates today on that. My other claim to fame recently is being one of the co-showrunners for the VCF Southwest show. So I guess I'll start with the VCF Southwest. This year, in 2024, we're going to be doubling our size, essentially. We're going to have double the amount of floor space and we're using that growth to add one of the Tandy Assembly meetups, which will be, part of the core VCF show here. So that'll be really cool. I mean, we're working with Eric Dittman, of course, and trying to come up with some really compelling and, really engaging content and experiences for that. In fact, you know, we're also trying to tie that in with the show themes this year. We have a few different themes that, who knows if it'll come together completely, but we're trying to put a little bit of focus on computer music, restoration, and of course, maybe a little bit about Dell because they turned 40 this year. But the bringing in the Tandy Assembly meetup as part of VCF Southwest will also give us an opportunity to really highlight, Tandy's been such a huge part of this area. So it give us that opportunity to highlight that. So we're working on some content ideas. We just started to sign up speakers. So if any of you are interested in giving presentations, go to vcfsw.org. Please sign up. We have a couple of speakers already signed up. We're planning to have, Jeff Wires. I don't know if you've heard about him. He's doing a YouTube series where he's trying to play every video game ever released in chronological order. So he's going to give a talk and probably a demonstration. We also so far have Charles Sobey, who will be talking about recovering data from computer tapes. I believe he means like big iron tapes kind of thing. We also have a women hardware designer panel that we're working on. Hopefully we're going to have Stephanie Allaire has already confirmed. We're going to have June Tate Gans from Nibbles and Bites, and we're working on a few other people now. So we think that'll be a really interesting panel. I'm sure we'll have the typical kind of YouTuber, streamer type panel. And a big focus of the show this year will also be on workshops and kind of experiential type, activities. So one of the things that I'm trying to put together right now is actually to have some of these hardware designers design a new peripheral for some system. Ideally, that would be something Tandy or TRS-80 related, but we want to really teach people who come to the show how to contribute to the community. So we're going to have a workshop, which we're scheduling very soon, where they're going to teach basic programming. We'll have a workshop that works on designing this peripheral. So we want to teach people how to do PCB design, the actual electronic circuit design, at least as much as you can to an audience with varied experience levels. So we're really putting a focus on that this year and hope to have some compelling experiences. So that's coming along swimmingly. We did move our dates up one weekend for the upcoming show because we realized our first year that we were conflicting with the ham radio field day. So there's quite a lot of overlap with the ham radio community, and they let us know that we plopped right down on field day. So this year coming up, we've moved it up one weekend to June 14th through 16th. Some other improvements with the show are that we've expanded the time. We're now going to have 3 full days of show, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where we start at 9 a.m., go to 6 p.m., and it'll be 3 full days with the day before the show being a setup day for any exhibitors. Other new things with the show, besides Tandy Assembly, we also were approached by a special interest group that deals with mini discs. I don't know if you'll remember that recording format from some years back. There's apparently a large group that are really interested in mini discs and reverse engineering it, and understanding the technology and keeping it going. So they're going to have kind of a miniature, show within a show. They'll have a room specific to their interests as well. So a lot of cool things happening with the show. Our first year was kind of the proof of concept of can we do it, and will this thing actually work? And we were very successful with that. So this next year is grow the show and make it as big and cool as possible. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be very nice. Updates with the keyboard project. So I'm sure many of you have seen the keyboard. At this point, the core design of the Model 3 and Model 4 unit, I would say, are pretty well done. with the exception of the what they call it, the T-shaped arrow key design. That will probably come later because that actually involves a different plate design and PCB design. So kind of waiting on that one. But the project itself is very well underway now. We have the plate designed. The PCBs are working pretty well. The main thing we're working on now is trying to reduce cost. I've sent the design files to some factories in Asia that I work with in my professional career on a regular basis to see if they could build entire assemblies of it and get it to a reasonable price point. We're also working on some keycap vendors. You may have seen in the Discord some of the keycap examples. So we think we've got a vendor in hand for that, and we're trying to work out some supply chain issues to do bulk orders and whatnot. So product's coming pretty far along. The next steps, once the Model 3 and 4 boards are kind of well in hand, is I've been requested to work on a keyboard design for the Coco computers. I do have a Color Computer 2 on hand. It seems that it's very similar to the Model 3 keyboard, just with the spacebar somewhat offset. So that shouldn't be too much trouble to do a design for that one, but I'm kind of waiting to solidify all the aspects of the Model 3 and 4 before moving to that. Some of you may have heard also Marcel Ers has got the Model 1 keyboard design done. Like I said in the Discord, 2023 apparently is the year of the Tandy keyboard. So we're going to hope to keep it going and get some of these machines back in a usable condition. So that's about all I've got right now. I mean, having fun. I'm new to the Tandy community. Never, growing up, I only touched a Tandy computer once in 1986, and I just kind of randomly bought a Model 4 last year, and the community has been very welcoming, and I'm really enjoying getting some experience with the Tandy machine. So appreciate y'all having me on.
That's awesome, Jay. Hope to meet you one day, maybe at Tandy Assembly this year. If you can drive up to Ohio, I go every year, so always
it is
enjoy
being
meeting
discussed.
people. Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. You're right about 2023 being the year of the keyboard, because it's been the sort of the bane of existence of all our machines, and I think it sort of felt like during the pandemic that the last of the good used keyboards out there have been bought up and used, and good drop-in replacements have been needed for a long time. On the Coco front, I recently there's a place in Australia that made a reproduction of the membrane for the Coco 2 keyboard, and I've got one of those, and it works great. And I don't know if that's locally made or just locally distributed and made and sold around the world, but that's one way for the Coco people to keep going. So I've sort of sent them a message to encourage them to make a membrane for the Coco 3. It's kind of perplexing a little that they did the work on the Coco 2 keyboard, but I've reached out to them and said, if you need a Coco 3 membrane, I'm happy to send one to you so that you can duplicate it. So hopefully something will come out of that for our Coco friends.
Jay,
Mav, just a side note on the Coco 2 membrane. I bought one for my Coco 2 because the space bar wasn't working. Apparently there are different membranes for the later keyboards. If you have a Korean Coco 2, it doesn't fit.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Coco 2s here at the moment, and I've noticed there's at least 3 different keyboard designs sold in Australia. So that it's kind of the luck of the draw if you've got one that the drop-in membranes can work. But I've got one on the melted keyboard, works fine. So
I think that's what it fits, is the melted. I don't believe it fits the full height later keyboard, because I purchased one and it doesn't fit.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's the locally produced in Adelaide one from Retro Fusion. I'm going to try that later with a full travel Coco 2 keyboard and see how it goes. I've seen actually early keyboards, like the last batch of the Coco 1 keyboard had a membrane as well, instead of little copper clicky things. So I've got to look into that. But yeah, so we've got storage sorted out with vintage computers in the form of SD cards and Wi-Fi and things like that. Now we just need to keep them running with the keyboard. So yeah, it's
One big
But-
difference between the Coco and the Z80 side is that the Coco has historically had third-party keyboard replacements, right, since the beginning, because it had that terrible initial chiclet keyboard. But there really never was anything for the Model 4. I guess because the Model 3, Model 4 keyboard is actually a pretty good keyboard. But
yeah, they were decent. But I've even found on my Coco with a HJL keyboard, which Peter is a popular aftermarket keyboard. Some of the keys are starting to not work on that thing. So even the aftermarket keyboards don't last forever.
Yeah.
It's a shame because the HJL was fantastic.
So Jay, is it the intention to make the Model 3 4 keyboard replacement a product that someone can just buy and drop in, or will they have to build it?
Yeah, I would hope to have complete assembled drop-in units ready. As I mentioned on the Discord, I'm not sure if I'm ready to become the supplier of those in the sense of setting up a store and doing fulfillment. But Jay Newworth has of course offered to do that for me. But yes, we do want to get to the point where there's finished assembled units that can be sent out and just plug and play.
Yeah, because for every person in this hobby who's really good at soldering or an engineer or likes building things, there's probably 10 people that just want to drop something in and use it.
Yes,
So-
I did a survey on my website on the project page, and you're right. It was about a 50-50 split of people who preferred kind of a build it yourself DIY kit versus an assembled product. So of course the project files are open source, they're available, so anyone's welcome to make their own PCBs and get the plates made and all that kind of stuff. But we do want to also cater to folks who just want to get it up and running and not bother with that.
Could I just ask Jay a quick question? You mentioned earlier, Jay, that you've got a group of guys looking at trying to extract sort of programs from old cassette tapes. Have you anybody in your group who's ever looked at what you had in the States? Was the Exatron stringy floppy with the wafers, trying to get stuff off those?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, the presenter at VCF Southwest, I believe he's focused on mainframe tapes, not consumer cassette tapes. I mean, of course, I'm sure his presentation will cover, in general, the theories of how do we extract information, digital data from magnetic tapes. But yeah, as far as I know, it does not focus on cassette tapes. It's only the big iron, mainframe tape machines, and he'll talk about he has a project, I believe it's called Channel Science, or maybe that's a group that has done some work for the U.S. Department of Energy trying to recover tape information. So like I say, he's not really a part of our group. He's just one of the presenters at the show. But I could probably put you in touch with him if you have questions. I'd be happy to connect you with him.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Jay, and be good to see you next time. We try to do this every month, don't we, Peter?
Yes, we do.
Yep,
Sounds
we
good.
do.
Thank
All
you.
right. Let's see. Back all to the regulars. How about Peter Phillips? What have you been up to, buddy?
Oh, I missed the last meeting. I guess the biggest thing was the disassembly contest, which congrats to Matt for pulling it through. I was going to show a little bit of what I did, if I can do a screen share here. Let's share that one. And let's see if I can get the pointer going. Spotlight. How's that? You can see the dot moving around.
Yep.
So this was a TRS 8-bit contest to write a small disassembler for the Z80, and work went into the code, but a fair amount of work was also on the data side. So on the left here, I started out with, this is actually a text file that a Perl program would run. And it defines all of basically the rules for disassembling. So opcode 76 is literally halt. It's a special case. And then on page 1, like the non-prefixed instruction, you've got generally load R with the HL register, or the memory at the HL register. So I started with this, and then the first version, I did a translation to bytecode. So the second table here is Z80 assembly. So you've got def bytes. So for example, for halt, it's like, okay, so it's literally the byte 76 we have to match, and then some special instructions that emit the halt, and then something to end the rule. And if you look at, for this generalized one, page 1, S6, I think the display here must be I think it's switched to display mode. So that comes out as the commands are, you have to be on page 1, meaning the top 2 bits are 0, 1. Then you have to match S6, which is a particular bit field. And then we display LD with a space after it, which is what this underscore LDS is. Then we display the register, which is you have to decode, then a comma, then we display the HL, which I think is HL in parentheses, and then we end the rule. And to make it smaller, a lot of it was trying to reduce the size of these tables. So I ultimately ended up, because the rules were page-based, I realized that it would be better to break it down into pages. So instead of having something for the no prefix, I've got the no prefix where it's page 01. So now we don't have to have matching command page 01 commands anymore. And then the second one is a little bit of a trick, because I realized that this is 2 bytes to match a particular literal. But if you know the 2 top bits are 0, 1, you don't need to match those 2 bits. So we can have one command, of which there's 64 variations, which says to match the bottom 6 bits as being 3, 6. So now we've gone from 2 bytes to do the match down to 1 byte. There's not much I can do about the halt here. It has to be omitted. And then at the file count here, there's about 95 to 100 different rules. So anything that repeats for every rule is expensive. And one thing is, like, these rules here on the left, they're terminated by new lines. These rules need a rule to end the rule, the command end rule. And when I started looking at this, when I broke it down by pages, it turns out that, well, there's only one command now is ever needed for doing the matching. So if I divided them up in half so that I knew between that, say the matching ones ended at around 140 or something, and the printing ones were higher than that, then I know that this rule ends because I see a byte which is less than 140 here. So now that I could get rid of all the command end rules, which immediately saved 95 bytes, which was like a glorious day. So there's nothing free, though. Of course, I have to add code to do that, so it becomes a bit of a trade-off. And that got, the halt matching down to what, 5 bytes now, when we started at 5, I guess 7 bytes, 6 bytes, 7 bytes. Then the other rules, I was able to do some more compression. That in fact, because of the way that this works, you get 2 savings here. One is that you don't actually need to do any matching anymore. This covers all the rest of the, I guess, 63 cases that remain. And initially I had all these commands to end the tables. Well, I didn't need to end the tables anymore, so I could save that byte. I still needed a rule that would I have to increment the instruction pointer to know that I've used up an opcode, which I called command hack inc. So I still have that there. But now we can reduce load down by quite a bit. And what I ended up doing was, so underscore LD emits the load. But if you look at this table, you see a lot of these commas and often spaces that appear. And I thought about that for a bit because the assembler always comes out as there's an opcode, and if it doesn't end, there's going to be a space, and then if there's two operations, there's going to be a comma. So it's a bit wasteful to have a whole byte for that. So I created a bunch of opcodes that essentially said, which I put underscore S, PRT underscore R means print a common 7-bit register. But it says, well, first print a space and then do the other command, which is relatively compact in the assembler. So we can do the same trick here with commas. Underscore C means that the printing of S is prefixed by a comma. So the result is that this, what we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bytes. Now we get it down to 1, 2, 3 bytes. Of course, we have to store underscore LD somewhere, but it gets reused several times because with the Z80, LD is a super common opcode. And that was about it. That's how I got quite a large savings of data along the way. The only other trick I think I pulled maybe right near the end was I realized the rules of the contest say that if the instruction is illegal, it's okay to omit anything as long as it's not like obvious garbage. So in the end, I realized that I didn't need any of the command end tables because even if there were still rules to be processed or there still was a byte to be processed, it would just fall through into some other opcode and emit something which was acceptable to the contest. Yeah, I don't have the numbers on this, but this certainly cut down the size of the tables. But yeah, you just keep eliminating things that are redundant and you can save a lot of space. And that's about that. George has the source code up somewhere if you want to look at the full details of it.
Cool. Thanks for that, Peter. Always fascinating to see what you've been doing. So hopefully soon we'll have at the next issue of TRS 8-bit, we'll have a new and interesting competition coming up. Have you been giving any thoughts to that, George?
Yeah, I've got an idea. That's for sure.
Good. Okay. Anything else been going on in your world, George?
Not a whole lot. Kind of getting back into things after, the holidays and such. I think the only thing I've done on the emulator recently is real exciting is that Matt Boyton pointed out that on the Model 1, the printer port is accessible at 4 memory locations. But I only had it accessible at 2 memory locations, so I fixed that, which makes the Model 3 not perfectly compatible because it only has the 2 memory locations for backwards compatibility. And I can't imagine there's any program out there that this actually affects, but it's better now. That's about what I've been up to.
Oh, good. Always glad to have you here. And hopefully you can make it to Tandy Assembly this year.
Yeah, I sure hope so too.
Definitely.
It's been a while since we've caught up, so yeah, it'll be good. All right, thanks for that. Moving right along, Eric Dittman, you've been up to a lot, so I know.
Yes, yeah, I was privileged to be able to join the Tandy Assembly team, so I'm looking forward to helping out there and helping represent Tandy Assembly at VCF Southwest. Still need to buy my table, Jay. But yes, Tandy Assembly will have a table there at VCF Southwest. And also been keeping really busy with work. It's been tying me up. So not, I mean, you know, a lot of things behind the scenes, but nothing major to talk about other than, you know, the Tandy Assembly thing.
So I've been, as most people know, Eric and I yearly do a presentation of some description or another at the show, and to try and break up the technical things with something that's both, you know, historical and interesting and funny all at once. So I haven't really put my thinking cap onto what I was going to do. I keep circling back to the Tandy 2000, which came out in November 1983, and was basically in the shops for January 1984. So that kind of 40 years since that came out, I'm sort of looking at that being if if you include the 4D as the last real TRS-80, the Tandy 2000 is the last actual TRS-80. So I'm sort of trying to think of what I can do about that. There's a lot to be said for the Tandy 2000. It's a polarizing machine in that it really excels in some areas and is complete garbage in others. So it fits the idea of a vintage retro computer perfectly if you think about it. So I'm kind of thinking of going there with that one. So I
What
have
about
to.
the 4P? Was the 4P released in 84?
I bought mine in '84, but I think it came out, you know, about 6 months after the Model 4, and that would put it, you know, in late 83. So yeah, around the same sort of time frame. Got to remember, a lot of these systems, they sort of appeared in the Tandy catalog, and then the early reviews of them came along around November, December, but you can actually only really buy them from mid-December onwards. And but yeah, that's something to consider, the 4P, which again, Tandy sort of, we think they're fantastic, but really at the time Tandy released the 4P alongside the Model 100, and which is the opposite ends of computer portabilization at the time. A lot of people love the Model 100, but I considered it to be kind of just a little bit underpowered, apart from the few jobs that it really excelled at. Whereas with the 4P, you got a real computer. So
Well, it was a luggable, not a portable, really. Right? It should have been
yeah,
the 4L.
You got a
yeah,
lift, bro.
they didn't get the memo that computers like the Osborne, the K-Pro, and the Compaq, Desk Pro, well, not Desk Pro, whatever their first portable computer were on the way out, even in 1983. But yeah, so so lots of computers we can tip our hats to for 1984 when it comes to that discussion, Peter. Okay, Dusty, you're up late, seriously late.
Sorry, what? No, it's not too bad, was it? Oh, it's just 11 o'clock PM, so that's not too bad.
No.
We're in the middle of winter. You'll be pleased to know we've had a whole 1 centimetre of snow, and the country's come to a total. Yeah, some lorry ran into a bridge underpass and has blocked the city of Hull off. There's a 14-mile tailback, but other than that, it's typical English weather, you know. Yeah, what have I been up to? All sorts of fantastic things. I mean, TRS-80 GP and the Acula floppy tape is just so wonderful, guys. I'm just sat there playing with it. It's unbelievable. The March edition of TRS 8-bit, I've already had a couple of super little bits for it. It is sent in another one-liner, and it's a one-line basic program, and it creates a 5x5 magic square from any given any given number, and it makes it up with the next 20 of the 25 consecutive numbers from there, and that's any sort of integer. I haven't tried it with a decimal point. I might, but you get rounding errors, I suppose, wouldn't you? But yeah, so I think that's quite tremendous, really. One-Liners Annual is available for download. It's just the same old one with the volume 17s added to it. But anyway, as I say, if you would like anything posting in the newsletter, if you could get them to me by the end of Feb, please, as per usual. I've also had a bit of luck on eBay, first time for years. I actually managed to buy something TRS-80 related, and unfortunately, it doesn't mean an awful lot to me. This guy was selling, I've actually contacted him, but he was selling a TRS-80 address decoder. Right. And now the reason I bought it was for no other. So, to be honest, it's way out of my pay scale, is it? The reason I bought it was at 99 pence, and I was the only bidder. So I got it for
last of the big spenders. Is it hardware or software, Dusty?
It's hardware. I've got it. It's a lump. It's going to be a lump of. It's only little, I suppose. But when I get it, I'll do a quick article about it in TRS-8-bit. I've contacted the guy who sold it to me, asking him, was he anything Tandy related, blah, blah, blah. So it looks quite interesting, but that's it. That's on its way anyway. I was quite excited by that. But I say, what I'm going to do with it, I honestly don't know. It's got a 16-bit input and an 8-bit output, or is it the other way around? Yes, anyway, whatever. But no doubt you guys will be able to tell me, wasted 99p.
You put it on a shelf and admire it, Dusty.
Absolutely, yeah. But anyway, that's roughly about it for the minute.
Cool. Thanks for joining us, Dusty. Always appreciate you making time to join us here.
I'll miss it for the world map.
All right. Let's talk to Boise. Boise, good to see you again, buddy.
Hey, excuse me. Hey, Mav. Hey, everybody. It's good to be here. I don't have a big update other than the fact that I've been planning my retro computing events for 2024. I'll be at BCF East, BCF Southwest, BCF Southeast, Tandy Assembly, and Cocoa Fest. And I also plan on going to BCF Midwest as well. So not doing much Cocoa stuff. I am working on and have completed a port of OS9 to the Phoenix F256, which is a new retro computer by Stephanie Allaire, who Jay mentioned will be talking along with some other women in hardware at a consortium we're trying to plan for for VCF Southwest in Dallas in June. That's about it. It's good to see everybody.
Cocoa people watching us here, Boise, you want to tell us a little bit about Cocoa Fest and where it is and what dates it's on?
I believe it's May the 4th and 5th. I'll be there. It's going to be in Chicago. It's obviously just Cocoa oriented, but my understanding is that they're selling out or have sold out most of the tables. So there's a lot of interest in that. So that's Cocoa Fest.
You can wave the Tandy Assembly flag there for us as well.
I will be. I'm, of course, a Tandy Assembly man, and I will be waving the flag everywhere I go this year.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks for taking the time to join us, Boise. Always appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Who else? Patrick, haven't seen you for a little while. Good to have you back, buddy. What's up?
Oh, hello to everybody. It's been a while. I've had the holidays and then took vacation time and then chilled, did a little bit of renovations around the house, dealing with the frigid weather we've had in the last week, like the rest of the continent. You wouldn't know anything about that, but yeah, when you know that North America is freezing over when Texas is at -5 degrees Celsius. And I'm in Houston, which is 40 miles from the Mexican Ocean. So when it's cold down here, it's cold everywhere.
It's funny. It made the news in Australia that how cold it is in America. they didn't even mention the C word Canada once. It's just kind of like, yeah, it must be just normal for them. Doesn't even rate in the news. But yeah, the US has been really cold, and I don't know if it's just this time of year. I think it is this time of year, but sort of my sales to American people has dropped to it started to pick up again, but it's dropped for about the last 4 weeks, and I thought, well, it's the holiday season and everything, and they're mainly probably just sitting around the open fireplace trying to keep warm rather than mess around with the computers. But so kind of funny how that coincided, but yeah.
Yeah, there's been quite a few storms, and there's one more coming across again. So snow, and more snow. I haven't been doing a whole lot. I've been repairing some keyboards. Um, I finished one paint job on a Model 4 conversion that's in a Model 3 case. So basically, the nice and pretty silver box.
Yeah.
So I still have some paint from my original jobs I did. I said, well, I'll do one of those. So that's a repaint. Since it was a Model 3 that had been a diskless Model 3 converted to a Model 4, I reconverted it to F80. So it's going to come with no floppy drives at all in it. Maybe 10 TA 2024. Maybe I'll do a demo of FF80. I don't know yet. I'm likely to be at Southwest because that's just up the road. I've got to talk with Joel, see if we can share a table because I only need a little corner to do that demo. He's got like 4 or 5 tables. He's doing a whole educational thing.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
So that Model 3 you've got there that's been converted to a Model 4, was that a factory conversion by Tandy or just one that someone's
No, it's one by
together?
me.
One by you, yeah. I've just retired my factory converted one. I've been using it for about the last 12 years. I bought it when I was importing a lot of stuff from the United States, and it was a beautiful machine in that it was a Model 3 converted to a Model 4, and the end user had put in an amber picture tube, and it's got so many dead keys now, but it's not got the Alps keyboard. It's got the early
the 2-prong ones.
Who makes it. No, not even. It's not by Alps. It's not Alps 2-prong or 4-prong. I think it's Maxi Switch or some other brand that made like the first few thousand Model 4 keyboards before Alps came online. And so it was just in terms
of the student units.
Yeah. And so just in terms of expediency, it was quicker to just put that one under my desk and put my Model 4D there where all its keys work. And so the upshot of that for people that are interested is there'll be an article coming up in the next TRS 8-bit about everything you wanted to know about those tech disk drives, because I've sort of learned a lot about them in a very short amount of time, how to repair them and what parts mix and match between the single and double-sided versions and so on. And everyone who has a 4D has got to be aware of the leaky capacitors in the disk drive. So I'll recount my experiences with changing them. So that will make for an interesting article. So yeah,
and there's a number of ways of doing the Model 3 to Model 4 conversions. This version, aside that it doesn't have floppy drives in it because they're just so hard to get any of them working anymore, is a true conversion. So it was made with the 2 Model 3 power supplies. It's got a Sinclair monitor in this one. So it was done as per the documentation from the factory. So they have the whole layout. It's not just slap a Model 4 or GA in it, or it's got, a Model 4 power supply in it. It's got the original power supply for Model 3s. And so it follows the factory process. They would have been used.
Yeah, true. I've done a couple of them myself, and the aluminum chassis that holds the motherboard is different on the Model 4 to allow for where the soundboard and the cassette plug in. That's one thing that easily you can overlook people buy off me, say the motherboards and everything because they want to do a 3 to 4 conversion. And I say to them, are you aware the
You get this.
the chassis, the chassis, you got to either have a fun time with tin snips, cutting some extra holes or whatever, or better to just get the proper Model 4 one. But
Yeah. Please don't do that nowadays. Just get a Model 4. They're cheap.
just get the right one. Yeah. Support your local computer rebuilder and seller of parts.
Well, there's still a lot of people that like the 4, but they prefer the Model 3 casing. So, and I've had a couple of people ask me, are you going to do a few more? And that's where I'm ending doing them. And since I had the good paint, I redid I did 2 cases, so I'll be doing another one again. I've got enough parts to do at least 4 or 5.
Cool. All right, Pat, thanks for joining us, and I'll look forward. I hope I can see you in September.
I hope
It'd
so.
be great. All right.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, we talked about how we now have a keyboard replacement. When are we going to get Amber's CRT replacements? Who's going to work on that?
That'd be a money mill.
Yeah,
That would be expensive.
When the cow
it
jumps
would be expensive, and the only place that I think can make them is that VCD company we used to buy them from. They would probably, if we could, they're probably got a minimum run of like 1,000 or 10,000 or something. That's the problem, is that they have the technology to build them there, but a minimum run of 100 or something was probably not likely. They need to do 1,000 of them, so
I'd buy
that's probably why they're
10.
not.
I'd probably buy 10.
Well, that leaves 9,990 of them to
Everybody here would buy 10. That's 1,000 right there, right? No, I don't know.
I was going to mention, Matt Boy Tim's display adapter, he did offer that he can change his code to where you could have green or amber output from, his display adapter board.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Okay, let's see. Paul Metcalf. Hey, buddy, what are you doing?
Freezing in New Hampshire like everybody else in the United States is right now. I think it's about 9 degrees of Fahrenheit above zero today. So not much snow, but been lucky so far in that respect. Let's see, Tandy wise, I've been playing with a Coco 2 that I inherited before the holidays from a family member, getting it going again, and attempting to figure out OS 9. Not the easiest thing to figure out, as I'm discovering, and hoping to get a real hard drive to work with it just because. I know there are other more modern solutions out there that you can do. They're much better than what we used to do back in the day, but it's kind of a nice thing to have the real hardware working with it too, just because. Model 1 is being cantankerous as per usual, no longer wanting to work with its real hard drive, and that's being the shame in the corner. I'm gonna have to spend some time figuring out why that is.
Clean all the edge connectors.
I've got the gold edge connector kit from Mav on it, so shouldn't be an issue. But I don't know. I don't know whether the bubble has failed or something on the controller board. It just kind of hangs with LDOS right now. We get the little HD in the corner, and it just hangs. No idea.
The corner means it's waiting for a response from the controller on the hard drive. So double check your cables are plugged in properly, even the ones internal inside the hard drive itself. And even as far, I don't know how smart they are, probably not particularly, but even the 2 cables that plug into the hard drive bubble, give them a reseat and see how you go.
Yeah, I've been in there a couple of times working with that, and I haven't gotten too far with it. But
is that connected to your Model 1?
yes, with the
all right. Well, the
Yeah.
first thing I do, I haven't pretty much since the Fred came along, I haven't done much at all with Radio Shack hard drives. But one of the things I found was beneficial was get it working on a Model 4 first. Basically, don't even try it on the Model 1. Get it working on the Model 4 first.
Oh, the wife.
And
the
then
wife would
once
tell me if I got another retro computer, I've got no room for it. Not like Peter Satinsky, where his whole garage is nice collection.
Get one from Joel.
but yeah, that's what I do. I get them working on a Model 4 first, because once they're working and the partitions are done and you've got no dead sectors, connecting it to a Model 1 through the adapter and putting the new operating system on's a piece of cake. So
Yeah. Well,
just a suggestion for you.
It has been, it was working for the past 2.5 years, and went to fire it up about around Christmas time, and it decided wasn't having any of it. So
it's still on holiday.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Mav, is your suggestion actually configure the hard drive on the 4 and just use that same configuration on the 1?
Well, yeah, that's what I was doing. I would set up the heads and cylinders because I'm a LDOS, LS-DOS guy. On the Model 4, I would just set it up with either operating systems. The geometry and the partitions and the sector format are the same. So once you've got it set up, then you can transfer it to the other machine, boot with the floppies, and just essentially reformat the first partition and drop the new operating system back on and create your boot disks. But yeah, I'll find out more about my memory and how valid it is soon, because someone actually, one of my regulars who has, every accessory under the sun, has come to me and said, "Oh, I'm after an original TRS-80 hard drive," and I've sort of, once we got past the why question, I said, "Yeah, I'll build you one." So I've got one here on my bench that I have to finish off for him, but he wants to use it on a Model 4, so I'll be doing that this weekend as well.
But once you start doing it again, you'll become addicted to it, because they're a lot of fun, the old hard drives.
They do sound right. They with the the seek sound and the whir when you turn them on and everything. When the bearings start to go, they're a really annoying drive. I'll tell you, they're a horrible sounding drive. But yeah, I've kept a few for that reason. Patrick, you had something you wanted to ask?
Yeah, you asked the question why. I don't remember who spoke to him last, and I know Peter has heard about this gentleman. He's a lawyer in Mississippi. He's still running 2 Model 12s in his office with a hard drive from Radio Shack.
Yeah, I know. That of his mind. I mean, he's probably a top bloke, but in terms of data security, that from 35-year-old hard drives that could let go any minute, it's not a path I would go down. Other than for retro computing purposes, but
he that's what he uses for his business. I was a little stunned when we got the call, because at one point he sent me an email asking me for help, and I was like, I need to refer to you, somebody's got a clue, because I didn't know anything about Model 12. But I was like, wow, at least he's not going to get hacked any day soon.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he's smarter than all of us, and after the big AI hack apocalypse of the world, only the TRS-80s are going to be still running. So, he's bought from me and other people a lot of spare controllers and parts to keep his hard drives sort of kicking along. So he's happy with his system. So that's cool. All right. Thanks for that, Paul. And thanks for always joining us here. Tim Halloran. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, good to see everyone. Yeah, I haven't been doing too much. I've been slowly looking into Mav reported a bug we knew about 2 years ago, but had completely forgotten about. The multi-DOS on the Model 1, if you have a Fred ROM in it, super basic, won't start up. It just reboots the machine. So I started digging into that, and then I was hopeful that TRS-80 GP would let me debug this, but I can't actually duplicate the problem, so I have to go to real hardware. And then I discovered going through all my Model 1s that none of them had the Fred ROM anymore, because I have a lot of Matt Boytum's like modern ROMs that are replacing them, so I have to pull one out and reprogram it. So get back into that, and we'll see if we can solve that one. So, or at least get it to the point that I can ask Vernon about it. He's not too good with different versions of ROMs. He'd probably be like, why on earth would someone be running this? Because he likes the floppy boot to the Fred menu. And for those that might have missed this, there was a lot that happened at the last Tandy assembly, but there was a set of these discs that Matt Boytum did and some other folks, I don't remember all the names, for the Model 1, Model 3, and Model 4, where you can basically, if you don't have a Fred ROM, but you have a Fred, you can boot from this and it'll bring up the Fred menu as though it was in a ROM. It's very nice. But Vernon actually did some work on this, and he created one floppy image that works on all three of the systems with no problem, so that you can just have one floppy and it will go with these. So yeah, I think I gave out some sticks, but people are welcome to ping me up if you're interested in that.
How's Vernon doing? I haven't seen him around here.
I haven't heard much from him either. We heard from him several months ago, but I haven't heard too much. He kind of goes in spurts and that sort of thing. Plus, I've been a little bit out of it. Work's been a little bit crazy, but I'm trying to go back. I don't know if anyone else has talked to him recently.
Maybe Tim, if you can reach out to Vernon before the next Tandy trash talk, because yeah, I think he likes to be here, though he has had toothaches and problems with his teeth. I know what that can be like. It's extremely debilitating, even with mountains of pain pills. It's still a horrible thing to have. So hopefully he's at the tail end of that, and he'll be happy to see us.
So looking forward to Tandy Assembly. I'll start thinking about what to do. Please, folks, try to volunteer for talks if you're going to be there. They're a great way, even if you don't know something, volunteer to give a talk on something, and then it forces you to learn about it. So that's been a technique that's worked for me. So to highly encourage folks. It's a lot of fun, and you get a lot of you learn a lot, and then you have a whole audience of people that can tell you the 5 things you said wrong and stuff. So it's really educational, as well as kind of joining and talking in the community. So look forward to see as many people as can get there at Tandy Assembly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nothing like stand-up comedy, so we don't have hecklers, though. That would be funny if we started having hecklers at this thing. And if you hate talking, if you hate public speaking, it's a good place to introduce yourself to it, because we're all on the same page there. So it's a great crowd there, and I also need experts for the trivia game this year. So yeah, I'm looking at you, Mr. Bureau. All right. Thanks for that, Tim. Let's see, Jay Newith. What's new in Maryland?
Football game.
I can see you're watching the football game there and cheering. Is your team winning?
Right now they are, but they're not playing like I would expect them to play, but that's the way it goes, I guess.
Yep.
First of all, Happy New Year, everybody. And nothing really new to report. The only thing is that I would like to do is I've been talking to Jay Crudy, and obviously about this. I want to attend the BCF Southwest. It sounds like an interesting thing, and he's going to help me out with getting a room at a lower cost or whatever, because that's the only thing that's driving me from not going. It's just I don't have that kind of money. I've been building his keyboards, like he said, and I mentioned that I would be happy to build them for him for sales or help him out if it's too much for him to do. And then I also got from Marcel Ers the new Model 1 PC boards. Whether I'll build them, I don't know, because a lot of the parts are very expensive to get, I understand, and hard to get. So, but I'll show it at TA. People can see what the boards look like, and I'll have keyboards to sell at the show too. So that's about it.
That's cool. Oh, good to hear from you, and can't wait to catch up with you again soon.
Yep.
For the Southwest, I'm looking at the distance on a map here. You'd be flying down, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You
And
wouldn't be
Jay says
driving.
that I could probably get a ticket around to for about 400 or 500 or something.
Yeah, that's the pricing I saw for Southwest, assuming you can fly out of Baltimore.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We can fly out. So I mean that I can afford, but it's just the overall cost of the show. I don't know if I even have a table, but at least I can go down and I can meet Jay in person and take it from there. See what it's like in a different show.
Cool. All right, Jay. Always good to have you here.
I'm
Again,
going
for
to
everyone,
watch the game. Bye. All right.
we'll see you cheering with your thing muted. All right. Oh, and he's gone. Um, Quinn and Barnes, how you going?
Hey, better now. Some CW2 DMK updates. I've been making some good progress on porting it to the Grease Weasel, but not as much as I hoped. Family visiting for the holidays brought COVID with them, so I'd suffered through that. I recommend Paxlovid. It knocks the virus out fast and hard. However, those that have taken it know it has some unpleasant side effects. Also, Ira has me working on a bug he found in CW2 DMK that copy protected disks can stumble over. I have a fix for that, but it needs some further testing. It should be ready soon, so I'll make a release sometime in the next week or two. The release will include some other recent bug fixes from Tim Mann as well. That'll be the first release of CW2 DMK in a little over a year. So I jumped from 2022 to 2024 on the releases. And then I'll be back to the Grease Weasel port after that. That's about all I had for this time.
What copy protected disks in particular?
Big Five.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the ones that when it repeats in the record ID of the floppy disk, if the if the cylinder number ends up repeating between different tracks, like they do in the Big Five ones, that the auto detection in CW2 DMK will kind of flip out on you, or can flip out. And it will the CW2 DMK will keep bopping between, oh, I'm single stepping. No, I'm double stepping. No, I'm single stepping. No, I'm double stepping. So, that's all it does. It puts it in an infinite loop.
Well, the good news is that all the Big Five software has been archived many times over, I'm sure, hasn't it?
Yeah, but Ira just pulling random disks and trying to read them with CW2 DMK, he doesn't like it getting stuck in infinite loops. So as long as you specify the -M to specify the stepping, it'll disable that portion of the buggy code. So you can always get around it by specifying M1 or M2.
I guess there's still people around who like the idea of a library of discs with just the one game on it, booting the way they remember when they bought the disc in the early 80s. Is that the case?
Well, it's just Ira gets random box of diskettes from people to read in.
Yeah.
And he's trying to go through them and read them in, and
I
whatever's on
suppose,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, he has no idea what they are most all the time.
Yep.
All the things I've seen.
I'm just sort of saying that all those Big Five games have been turned into single CMD files, decades ago, and
Yeah.
the self-booting discs are cute, but
Yeah, it's just if you've got something crazy that duplicates cylinder numbers between different tracks, CW2 DMK is unhappy with that. But like I said, it'll only, if you know what you're dealing with and specify the -M option directly, then it'll just work. It's just when you have unknown disks and you're just letting CW2 DMK make its best guess at things, trying to figure it out.
Hey, it's no longer possible to get a new cat weasel, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's why I'm busy trying to port the algorithms to the Grease Weasel.
Cool. Okay. I've just sort of made me think I must try, because I use Copycat on a real TRS-80 Model 4 for duplicating disks. I have to try that with some of the big 5 games and see if that works. What, Patrick? I can see you trying to want to say something. What are you smiling at?
Exactly about the copycat deal. Ira and I worked on his Model 4 that I restored so many months ago to try to copy. He had that problem that you guys were talking about. He's got this dual boot Model 1, Model 3 diskette game. And he was trying to get it copied complete so you could load the DMK as a Model 1 or a Model 3, depending on the computer it booted. It would switch over. I told him it's not likely happening, but we tried with Copycat and Copycat would choke on it. Didn't work.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I was surprised. I was surprised too, but no, it choked on it would make a diskette, but it was only Model 3 came out. It wouldn't see any of the Model 1 stuff on it at all.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, I use Copycat for copying everything. CPM, new DOS, LDOS disks. It doesn't care. It actually is surprisingly complete in its ability to copy disks.
Well, I found the Copycat. Especially if you're using a Model 3 or a Model 4, I found that Copycat 4, for example, has issues copying Model 1 images from floppies. And I don't know if it's because they're single-sided, a single density. I've read up on the 1793s, and they're supposed to be the same thing as the Model 1 ones uses for the single densities. But I've always found that the Model 3 and Model 4 always choke on it. And I don't know if that's true, or is it just my bad luck of trying to get them done.
It's hard to say. I can't remember where I started, but I sort of have gotten to the point where if I'm making Model 3 or 4 disks, I'll just use a real computer in my lab here, which has Copycat on it. And if I'm making Model 1 disks in one of my sheds, I've got a PC with a cat weasel in it. I spit them out there and then bring them in here and test them on my Model 1 before packing and sending them. It seems to be a system that works for me. So
yeah, I've got a Model 4. My working Model 4 has got multiple different kind of drives on it. GoTech double-sided 720s and all that, because I use it also for making CPM disks for other computers entirely that are not TRS-80, because with Hypercross you can do a variety of operating system floppies, which I've used a great deal with the proper floppy drive. If you have a functional one, I mean, I've made 10 to 2000 floppy boot disks with it. So I'm like you. I don't have a grease weasel. I like using the actual hardware.
Yeah, I have nothing against a grease weasel. I just have the case. I have the if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. So as long as my cat weasel works, that's my main go-to for that sort of thing.
I think it's awesome that Bill Hogue software is still like stumping us today. And he wrote it when he was a teenager.
I know. Can we get him on Can we get him on to explain it?
Nah, I wish.
By the way, I did verify that the current version of CW2 DMK can take a Big 5 DMK that Ira sent me, write it out to physical media, read it back in as a new DMK, and then pass it to TRS-80 GP, both in M1 and M3 mode, and have it work. So at least I know everything's still working in that regards with Tim's software.
Cool. Okay. And got the last few people to go. Craig Skeels, anything new in your world?
Yeah, not really. I've been sick for like a month.
So, that's too bad.
Yeah, just same kind of holidays and stuff, and not feeling well, cold weather, just nothing going on. And I missed the last one of these. can't remember what happened, but it's one of those
That's all
days.
right.
I was too sick
That's
to do
okay. It's
anything.
always good to have you here anyway, Craig. You're feeling
Yeah.
better now?
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I'm on the tail end of it. And so, yeah, hopefully I'll get more involved. But I'm moving in a month, so probably not this next month.
Oh,
Probably.
yeah. Upgrading to a bigger place?
I don't know what we're doing. I just know the owner of our place is selling because they want to,
Okay.
cash it in. And so we're moving.
So you're moving. I can't think of anything worse than moving with the amount of computer and car stuff that I've got. That's kind of like at least I have the luxury of I don't have to move. So it would be a mammoth job to move.
Yeah. Luckily, I've got enough in storage right now that, I had brought most of it home and had it set up to start doing cool things. And then knowing we were going to move in a few months, I put most of it in storage. So it's going to be inaccessible for a while. And I don't know if I have space in the new place. I'll be able to get more involved. If I don't, I might be less involved.
I can't even imagine beginning to think about moving.
Oh, well, I know for a fact, Peter, that you did think about moving for a while there, but I think you either overthought it or you just looked at or underthought it and looked at the job required and said, you know what, this place ain't too bad.
Almost
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, Craig, for joining us. Always good to see you here. So just down to two that are left that have no video. So I don't know if they're actually just listeners or what, but I'll ask first Stephen's pastime. Stevens, Mr. Pastime? Nope, just a listener. And RT DOS.
DOS. Real-time DOS.
RT DOS. Real-time DOS. Richard T. DOS.
Oh,
No.
come on. You got to do your going once, going twice.
Going once. Who'll give me a dollar? No. I watch an English show called Bargain Hunt. So I see a lot of auctioneers, and to be honest, they got nothing on professional American auctioneers. They're good, but the American ones take it to the next level. Their linguistic speed and ability is phenomenal, and I'll never get to the high stratosphere of the American professional auctioneer, but I do look at and my son Geordie looks at Bargain Hunt as well as I do and sees the auctioneers on there and sort of goes, you're just about better than that guy, and that guy's a professional and gets makes a living off that. So I actually quite love doing the auction. I think it's a fantastic thing, and yes, the more stuff people bring, the better. So I mean, I'll get the word out months in advance. If you've got stuff you want to bring it along to the auction. It's one of the highlights of the show because I'm on it. I'm selling stuff.
Not too many printers, though, please.
Or 300 baud modems.
We always get a bunch of those, don't we?
We had at least 5 or 6 of them unused in the box. That's how at the auction there. They actually pulled pretty good prices, I think, because the boxes look good and they look cool on your collection shelf. But loose ones which have been used, they're sort of like $5 tops. I've got to twist buyers' arms to buy them for that much. But
Would be cool to put bread in them or something,
Yeah. All right. I think that's everyone. So if anyone's got any last words to say before I wrap this thing up, Jay Crudy.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, thanks to the generosity of Eddie Malfris and Jay Newworth, I'm kind of overrun with Model 3 motherboards that don't have cases to go with them. So one of the things I've thought about doing is to actually kind of repack it into a modern Hammond metal wedge style enclosure, and actually set up a BBS to cater to the Tandy community that would be accessible over Telnet. So I think I posed this question on the Discord, but since we've got the Illuminati of the community here, is there particular BBS packages that y'all remember as being common or decent for the Tandy, for the TRS-80 Model 3 specifically?
We'd have to do a bit of research. BBSing was a big thing until it wasn't, and there are a few quite sophisticated BBS packages for the Model 3 and 4. People, by the time sort of BBSing matured, they were running Model 4s with hard drives, not Model 3s with floppy drives, though you could certainly do that. And I suppose if you've got a couple of Gotex or a Fred connected to a floppy 80 to a Model 3, you could run that old BBS software fairly easily. So if you struggle in that area, just email us, find my email address and email me, or Patrick. Yeah. And,
yeah, I was going to say I've been researching that actually for the last 6 months, and I have the packages and try to figure out which ones would work with hard drives and no hard drives. So I've been considering running a board myself with Fred in the F80. So get in touch with me on Discord.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. 80 Micro magazine in 1984 ran a series of articles building a complete BBS system over 6 issues. So that might be worth reading. I know it was for a Model 3. I don't know if it caught on as an actual one that people used, as opposed to just an exercise in can we build one built around basic language that ran on a dual or triple or quadruple drive Model 3, which was pretty standard for 1984. So that would probably lend itself to running off a hard drive, since it's written in BASIC, and a hard drive just acts like a additional floppy drive partitions, except larger and faster. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions on that. But that's my experience with that stuff.
Yeah, the Town Crier BBS is actually a very good product. It's and what's nice is that you can modify this. There's better ones than the Town Crier product, but it all depends. On Model 4 mode, there isn't many of them, but on Model 3, there's quite a few of them actually.
Yeah. Back when Computer News 80 used to be able to buy discs from them from their library. At one point, I think I bought about 3 or 4 different BBS packages. I never did anything with them, but there was that many of them around. But I think the common one on the Model 4 was called TBBS. Tandy BBS. But for Model 3, there'd be at least 2 or 3 different viable systems.
So if you were setting up a BBS today, would you make it like accessible via dial-up, or what are you thinking, Jay?
My plan is, well, I've purchased one of the what do they call it, Wii Modem 232, little Telnet Wi-Fi modems, basically. So my plan is to basically repack this Model 3 motherboard into one of these Hammond cases. In fact, I'd be happy to show it to you if you'd like to see it. You might be familiar with this type of unit. Here we go. Y'all see that okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So these cases, they're still available and they're fairly inexpensive. So my plan is to get one of these, obviously cut it out so I can put my keyboard in there and put the motherboard in, and use one of Matt Boy Tim's HDMI adapters, and put a Fred and all the accoutrement in there, and make it a wedge machine, but have it just run a Telnet BBS essentially for the Tandy community.
I'm glad it's a computer. I'm glad it's a computer case, because as a keyboards player, I was thinking of a Hammond case. would be
Oh,
effing enormous.
right. It's not a Hammond organ, no.
No, it's not Hammond organ case.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not putting
No.
in a Leslie case here, right?
That case was reminiscent of a Max 80, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
And Lobo 80, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
Solver
they're probably
20, kind of, right?
it's probably a design that's gone out of style, but with all the retro computing projects and stuff around, the Hammond company's going to be asked to make another bunch of them or something like that. Just before I wrap this up, here's a question: Who? And you know, I know I'm fully aware of the Marcel Ertz project. Who? Anyone know him?
I ordered a Model 1 board from him today. So
Okay, cool. Only because someone mentioned on one of the Facebook pages, you know, it would have been good to put in a bunch of enhancements, but you know, I like what he's done in that you got to start somewhere, and the original one is the best place to start. But I also I'm kind of thinking that Eric and I both have what the hell are they called, Eric? The Model 1, the Model 3 and the Model 1 case. What
The TC3.
we've both got TC3s. I wouldn't mind if he wants another project, I'm happy to send him my TC3 motherboard, as long as it comes back. But I just if I don't know if after he's done this, he's going to move to a different platform of microcomputer or wants to do more of the TRS-80 repros or something like that. But the TC3 I quite like because it goes in the Model 1 case and you can plug a thread in quite easily, and it's just a cool thing that most people would have seen the adverts for them in 80 micro, but precious few of them actually sold. So that's my thoughts. If anyone has any thoughts on that, maybe remind me of it when we have this again in February.
Yeah, I've spoken to him quite a bit because the keycap set, was really his design. And he's done some customization to that for the Model 3 and 4. So he did mention to me during my conversations when his next plan is to take that Model 1 keyboard and design a version that would use modern key switches to where you don't have to just, get the originals off an original keyboard. So I think that's his next project or, item he's looking at.
Cool. Well, that's great. All right, guys, any last words or we'll wrap this thing up? Crickets. No, nothing. All right, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in about a month's time, and then in about 8 months' time in Ohio.
that's sir. All right. Take
Oh.
care, everyone.